Since birth, humans have craved affection from their parents, siblings, friends, and eventually, their lovers. Everyone has a sort of person they are drawn to and wish to fall in love with. The personalities might range from cheerful to caring, introverted to daring, and so forth. Difficult or problematic is generally the last thing people seek for in a companion. So why do some people prefer to endure with toxic partners and are unable to let go? Experts believe the kind of partner we look for in our adult life is a reflection of the love we received as a kid and the relationship that we witnessed between our parents. The first exposure of those feelings leaves a permanent mark on our vision of love, and we try to look for people who can evoke the same feelings we are comfortable and familiar with. Sometimes, these feelings are not pleasant. For instance, if someone grew up around an abusive parent or was abused as a child, they will be okay with an abusive partner, unlike others. If someone grew up with a depressed or aloof parent, they would find themselves attracted to people who will replicate the same set of emotions. Here are the reasons why we choose the wrong partner. Number 1. Self-perception. People with a negative perception of themselves tend to walk into a problematic relationship. They choose partners in the consonance of their negative view of themselves. The feeling of not deserving something good and substantial keeps them from looking for a better partner. It's hard for some people to take a suggestion because their mind is flushed with all the negative views of themselves, which is why they feel uncomfortable around people who appreciate them and try to make them feel good about themselves. Whereas the partner who supports their unenthusiastic self perception brings them a sense of comfort. Number 2. Pressure. Let's simply say that society provides us bad counsel when it comes to making a decision on who to marry. We are advised to depend on faith, follow your intuition, and hope for the best. As a society, we're inundated with pictures on social media that make us feel like we're behind in life. This concept that we must find a mate before we are too old, which might range from the ages of 21 to 35, is instilled in us. Many people succumb to this pressure and settle with partners they know aren't right for them in the long term. Even if there is a lot of pressure, keep in mind that this is your life we are talking about. When you choose a life partner, you are choosing a lot of things, including your parenting partner and someone who will deeply influence your children, your eating companion, your travel companion, your primary leisure time and retirement friend, your career therapist, and someone whose story you'll hear about 100 times each day. Number 3. Empaths. Many empaths turn to the thought they'll be upset if I break up with them as a justification for staying in an unhealthy relationship. Empaths may choose to suffer, but they can't deliberately cause pain to others. This is exactly what happens in a toxic relationship when both partners are empaths. They begin to put their own needs on the back burner in order to better care for others. While believing that one is lacking, they choose the people pleasing road and go a long way to save and appease others. Because of their mutual need on one another, a toxic relationship will keep an empath close at hand. It's a marriage made in heaven when an empath and a pessimist work together. Number 4. Fear. To avoid being alone or feeling inadequate, those who are afraid of drowning in the water may grab onto anything to save themselves. Similarly, people who are afraid of being alone will seek a troublesome spouse. They've been through so much, why can't they just break up? Self-esteem, self-image, and the capacity to be who you truly are all affected by a long amount of time in a dysfunctional relationship, according to the expert. Anxiety and stress levels skyrocket when confronted with these kinds of scenarios. When people try to leave a toxic relationship, the fear of not being able to meet someone else keeps them there. Number 5. Do not value yourself. We all have highs and lows in our lives. The idea that self-esteem is something that changes with time is one that makes sense to me. Chronic low self-esteem, on the other hand, is the single biggest obstacle to having a genuine reciprocal connection in any setting. As a result, it might lead you to sabotage relationship or settle for a relationship that is abusive, which is consistent with your self-perception. We do this for a variety of reasons, and there are many of them. In the end, we have to make a decision. Either we appreciate our own self-worth or we don't. This emptiness cannot be filled by your companion. You can never make up for feeling unworthy in a relationship with another person. The notion of valuing oneself may seem insurmountable depending on your living circumstances. Although I see the reasoning, it's also plausible. Start small and practice being kind to yourself even when you believe you don't deserve it, because you are worth it. It's a long process that will transform your life for the better. Number 6. Reflection. Do you find yourself drawn to those you'd like to change? Is the project component of a relationship appealing to you since it gives you the opportunity to assist your spouse in improving themselves? Answering yes to this question indicates that you may be dating from your wounded self. Those parts of us that seem incomplete or injured are known as our wounded selves. They are the parts that make us question our value and wonder if we are worthy of being loved. Unconsciously, you're modeling how you want to be treated by putting your efforts into helping your spouse heal from their problems. Your partner's tolerance, love, and support are a direct result of what you desired in your first relationships. It's framed as if I can get X to change, then I am worth it. I am lovable in the subconscious mind. To avoid confronting their own issues, some people find it simpler to concentrate on how their spouse needs to improve. When we choose our relationship from an unhealthy aspect of ourselves, there is a lot of healing to be done. This style of being in a relationship is a form of self abandonment and an avoidance of our fundamental wants. This is a surefire way to be miserable. How can you get out of this cycle? The way you relate to people reflects how you relate to yourself. Toxicity patterns might be tough to grasp when you're a kid and your parents don't teach you anything about them. Self awareness is the first step towards refining your judgment, acknowledging what you want and need from a romantic and non romantic standpoint. A good connection with oneself is essential to cultivating a healthy relationship with others. Denial of one's own pain and suffering must end. Facing the situation head on is the first step towards a solution.